Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We are a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Special welcome to visitors and newcomers and those online. We're glad you're here. After service, you can join us down in the Commons for refreshments and fellowship and find ways to get connected in the life of the church and the community. There's a preschool playroom open for young ones throughout the morning just past the lobby, and activities for kids following the time for all ages. Newcomers always welcome as well. A few special announcements. Mix and mingle dinners are ready for signups. Members have offered to host group meals at home or here at church for a time of fellowship among longtime and newer folks, so you can sign up in the Commons or see Melissa Egler for more information. Next, our annual auction supporting the church through donated items as an event some of you know was rescheduled for Saturday, January 25th. We'll have a chili contest. Folks can bring pie. You can submit items now, and we're continuing to receive them from this fall when we had planned it, and we'll continue to receive them in the coming weeks. So wanted to get that on your reminder radar before the swirl of these holiday weeks. So save the date, Saturday, January 25th. And then you can see more information in the holiday guide that is scattered throughout the church or in the e-news that came out this week. And on the back of your order of service, see upcoming events, including a cookie exchange next week and many things to gather in community and giving and services in these coming weeks. Most Sundays, our offering goes out our doors to support our values in the community. Our justice partner for this month, December, is Family Promise, providing housing and resources for folks in the Rochester area. You can read more about it in your order of service and give as the plates pass or anytime online. Thanks for your generosity for this important work. Thank you to our featured musicians today, Alan Bishop, Dave Townsend, and musician emerita Connie Shulka for providing your music today. We're so grateful to have you, as always. Every Wednesday, you can join us for supper and programs, including choir and childcare, or simply conversation around the table. This week includes an information session about our annual summer pilgrimage to the Boston area. You can come to learn more about this deepening of Unitarian Universalist identity by visiting important places in our faith tradition's history. So supper's at 5:30, choir at 6, and 6:15 is the information session about the pilgrimage if you'd like to learn more. Hope to see you Wednesday night. So you can, in that holiday guide, in addition to the many services and events, is also information about giving, including our mitten tree. So to have the gifts ready in time, you have until this Wednesday evening to return gifts or donate the monetary amount. There's still some tags left on the tree down in the lobby. This year we're supporting a family of 5 through Family Promise. Each mitten contains a tag with an item listed, and you can take that slip and then bring those items by Wednesday night. If you have any questions about it, you can see Julie Gilkinson or Shelley Rowe for more information. There's instructions down by the tree as well. Thanks for your generosity in this annual tradition. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our time of worship with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, the opening hymn 208, Every Time I Feel the Spirit, will call us back in an invitation to not just be going about our lives through our regular routines and schedules, but be open to where love or justice might catch our attention in new ways. So we'll sing that together in that spirit. But before that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you.
morning. My name is Marv Mitchell, also known as Mitch, and this is my wife, Gerald. The chalice lighting this morning comes from Sacred Unknowing by Amy Carroll Webb. We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment.
I want to invite those new members that are, or just about to become new members, to come forward and join Melissa and I up here. You can join us back here and be part of the tree forest. Come on up. Throughout the year, we gather for classes and gatherings for newcomers to learn about our church and to get to know each other in community. And then we gather to welcome them on a Sunday morning. And we have a whole host. What is a group of members called? Like, does that have a sainthood of members? I'm not sure. But when we welcome new members, it's a seemingly simple act of putting pen to paper, signing a name, and saying welcome, and yet and still something more powerful happens than that. It's a commitment of hearts to hearts, of joining in a community, of reconsecrating our commitment to who we are and what values we are called to in the world, naming and honoring new souls among us in the larger family of all souls. May this church be a home for your soul. Know that these are your people, and together in forgiveness and grace and strength and resilience, we will make here a home for all souls.
It is a great joy for me to engage with new people who are interested in learning about First UU. I get the pleasure of hearing their stories of spiritual journeys and sometimes concerns about a religious home. It is something to be celebrated when they decide that this is their place. These are our people. These are their people. This is an exciting time of people finding this progressive liberal religion, and we welcome you wholeheartedly into our congregation and into the wider world of Unitarian Universalism. So I'll just have you do a little wave. We have a large group, more people joining later this at our 11 o'clock, but we have Michelle McGinnis, Jana Larson-Keller, Cletus Mueller, Dan Nemus, Kim Rogers, Eddie Seabark-Robb, David Stager, and Ryan Shriver is reinstating his membership today. So we welcome you all.
So I invite you to turn to the welcome litany in the order of service as we welcome these members. First, the congregation. We welcome you into this congregation and into the larger circle of Unitarian Universalism. We welcome your story, your identity, and the gifts that you bring. May you find here a home for your soul. And new members, we gladly join with you as members of this church. We will offer our gifts as we are able to the flourishing and well-being of this community and support the values of this congregation: hospitality, compassion, spiritual growth, and justice. And all together, we covenant to travel together in this religious community. Here may we be affirmed for who we are and challenged to be our best selves. Here may we grow our souls, care for each other and the earth, nurture spiritual growth, practice justice, and together lead lives of meaning, service, and love. I bid you welcome. And as the congregation sings a blessing to you, which is hymn number 1 in your gray hymnal, I invite you to notice the names of those in this membership book that stretch far before you, and all the blank lines that are after yours for new souls that are yet to come and find our doors and be part of this community. We'll sing together hymn number 1. There are alternate lyrics for verse 3 in your order of service as you are invited to sign the membership book.
Right. also forgot one friend who signed the book in my office, actually a couple people who signed the book in my office, but Allison Beto, who's watching online, she is sick this morning. So everybody can turn around and wave at Allison. Also joined this week, Alice Kurtzhals and Tosca Wohl. So an incredible group of new members, so welcome.
Yay. So we bid you welcome. Welcome. Thanks.
I'd like to invite the children come up, youth if you want to come up, anybody else who's feeling particularly young at heart can come on up. We're gonna have a little chat. How is everybody this morning? All right, we got tired, that's fine, I am too. All right, got a question for you. How many of you like going out into nature and just seeing the trees or the water, the river, the sky? All right, me too. Well, I got two friends. They like going out into nature and just looking and seeing what's there. And they both have a very special technique for how to go out and really look at nature. And so I want to tell you about their technique. The first one, so I have this friend, his name's Henry, and when Henry goes out into nature, he will always take a notebook, and he'll always take a pencil. Because if he's going out and he's looking around and he sees something, then what do you think he's going to do? He's going to draw it, he's going to write it down, and he's going to write everything down. So he's going to say, okay, this is the date. I am out here on a Monday or on a Sunday, and this is what the temperature is, and he's trying to get as many details down as he can about what that one thing is that he sees. And he finds it very interesting. But I have another friend. We're going to put this aside. We got another friend. His name is Nate, and he thinks Henry has it completely wrong. That's not how you go and experience nature, because if you're doing it like that, you're just trying to find the things that you want to see. You're not trying to see what nature wants to show you. So my friend Nate, he has a special weapon that he uses to observe nature. What do you think that is? A microscope? Oh, that would be a very good one. But no, it's even more special than a microscope. A magnifying glass? No, not a magnifying glass. A walking stick? Nope, not a walking stick. Nate's special tool is this. What is this? A newspaper. This is his special tool. So, are you a little confused what he does? Okay, so this is what Nate does. When he goes out, he'll go out and he'll go onto like a path, or he'll go out onto a hill, and he'll be overlooking something, and he's like, okay, this is a good spot. And he goes down and he makes himself really, really comfortable. So just like rock back and forth, make yourself really comfortable, and then he'll pull out his newspaper, and he'll just open it up. And then what do you think he does with the newspaper? Yeah, he's just going to start reading the newspaper. Now, why do you think he's doing that? Yeah. Maybe he finds out things in the newspaper. I'm sure he is finding out things with the newspaper.
You know how sometimes birds will come to you if you hold still enough? Maybe he's trying to do that.
Yeah, maybe the birds will come to him, and sometimes he is. Let me ask you this. Have you ever... And there's nobody else in the room, so you can answer honestly. Have you ever, when you saw like one of your parents like really trying to concentrate and you really wanted their attention, did you ever go up to them and just like start poking them, or just like, Mom, I need to show you something. I need to show you something. Well, Nate found out that nature does the same thing. So when he starts reading the newspaper, and he's like really comfortable and he gets really into it, he finds out that every once in a while, nature will start poking him and say, Nate, I really got to show you this. And then he just sort of comes up, he's startled out of his newspaper, and he sees for just a brief moment that thing that nature really wanted to show him. And he sees it as it really is for just that brief moment, and he appreciates it. And then he can write it down. So that is what Nate's special way of observing nature is. To not observe and just wait for nature to let you know what it wants to show you. So those are my two friends, Nate and Henry. We'll go and talk about observation and being present down with some activities. So we're going to have Connie play the children's benediction, and then we'll go down, and all youth up through grade 8 are welcome to come down with us.
The COVID pandemic, if nothing else, was good at shaking things up. In my job as a statistician, I'm constantly moving between one project and the next, but sometimes I find myself so busy doing that I forget to stop and ask whether it's necessary. And I fall into the trap of jumping from one task to the next, checking and reacting right away to emails or a Teams message. Which project is yelling the loudest? Sure, I can help you out. I can fit that in. I can work just a few extra hours. When everyone else is busy, busyness quickly becomes almost an expectation. And it's easy to get into a rut and do something just because that's how you've always done things. Pre-pandemic, I had a familiar routine and a standard way of reacting to certain projects, and there's a benefit to this. There are efficiencies in relegating certain tasks to standard ways of doing things so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time a decision needs to be made. With the pandemic, everything stopped, at least for a period of time. For 30 years, I worked in an office, and suddenly I had to reevaluate how I was doing my job and how I was spending my time. I and most of my colleagues have decided that we really don't need to sit in front of our computers in an office, and there are advantages to working from home. Some coworkers decided to move closer to family or to a warmer climate. Others decided they were ready to retire. And I've come to appreciate the simple joys of open windows, a view of my bird feeder from my desk, and a more flexible routine. I take joy in taking a few minutes to pet the cat or pull a few weeds in the middle of the day. And things that seemed important, like the status of having an office with a window, no longer matter. The break in routine provided me an opportunity to evaluate how I'm spending my time and what I value. And above all, the pandemic reminded me to be fully engaged in the moment and appreciate the here and now.
In gratitude, we'll receive the offering.
morning again. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Rhonda Lorenz, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need for the last 2 weeks. Robin Taylor will take over tomorrow for the next week, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. And we revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. Please hold Roxanne Schlesner and family in your hearts. Roxanne's uncle, Robert, her mom's twin brother, at age of 84, passed away on Friday, December 6th. He had been in hospice care for many months due to leukemia. This is heartbreaking, as this was the last of her mom's side of the family, and we send healing strength to all. An update on Ann Lean, who suffered a fall and head injury last week while volunteering for Hawthorne Helps. Spent a few days at Olmsted Hospital and is now resting and improving at home, and we send her healing wishes as she recovers. And we continue to hold in our hearts Erica, Mark, and Kay Fetterman, as Mark has been given an updated diagnosis of stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and we surround them with strength and love as they travel this journey. Please keep them in your thoughts. Cards of support and well wishes are welcome for all. The Cards of Support list that is compiled weekly contains several members and friends of the church who are experiencing these sad and happy times, and it's posted in the entryway of the church as well as through a link in your e-news. We provide cards and postage and welcome you to leave them down near the basket for mailing. We encourage you to spread well wishes to them in this way. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith in the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth in its ancient turning. Above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath, yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you're named and known as beloved, as sacred. Invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. Help us find in our days a bit of space, of room, like a field that opens up to quiet winter, a time of respite from the growing and the harvest to do the quiet work of replenishment, of nourishment in the deeper soil that brings life, but first for now time to rest. May the calendars have some blank spaces and the hours not be jammed so tight, so that some delight from a slower pace might have the time, the room to grow. Hold in our hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. Invite you to bring the names or places you're holding in your heart this day in joy or sorrow, silently or aloud now in this time, to speak their names. The names and places spoken and unspoken. May we all be held in love, healing, grace. These words of meditation are from Theodore Rothko. It was beginning winter, and in between time, the landscape still hardly brown. The bones of weeds kept swinging in the wind above the blue snow. It was beginning winter. The light moved slowly over the frozen field, over the dry seed crowns, the beautiful surviving bones swinging in the wind. Light traveled over the wide field and stayed. The weeds stopped swinging. The wind moved, not alone, through the clear air in silence. Was it light? Was it light within? Was it light within light, still becoming alive? Yet stillness? A lively, understandable spirit once entertained you, and it will come again. Be still. Wait. May it be so. Amen. The hymn is Comfort Me. It's in your teal hymnal, verses 1, 2, and 5. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing.
Every absence is an ancestor. Speak to it, ignore it, feed it, turn it out of doors. It will not matter. It knows where you live, which side of the pillow you prefer to sleep, where you buy eggs and milk and toilet paper. It knows whom you last kissed on the mouth, how you cried to read that poem written by your daughter, your bewilderment at the stroke after stroke of bad luck that came the year you decided to say, "I do," to your green, unproven heart. The roses in the garden bloomed and withered and then came back. Dormant doesn't mean dead, only sleeping. Winter is another form of absence. Some say a kindness, substituting white after white for all the gutted fields before their softening in spring. Absence, presence, I bow to you, my ancestors. I stoke the fire and save the bones for soup in these cold months when I am most reminded I am your kin.
Thank you. I think a grouping of musicians should be called a blessing. I think new members I've figured out is a beloved of new members. Ministers are a murder, I think. Anyway, that's off script. The fields seem to stretch on forever, like a piece of butcher block paper rolled out over the horizon, just a little bumpy here and there with the brave scattering of dirt poking up along the top, or the tree line of solidarity guarding the frigid west and north winds. Driving through these holiday quiet roads, we were already over the river and through the wood, but before Grandma's house was field after field after field on the wide and open southern Minnesota prairie on the way to Christmas family gatherings. Soon enough, it would be a full house, the smell of garlic bread and coffee greeting us at the door. The halls were decked with enough festivity to brighten the cold months to come, but first, the journey there. I remember perhaps most fondly the light frost on the backside windows of our family's minivan, watching the fields go by, loving the deep quiet of Christmas morning in the middle of bright early winter. At least on the years there was snow, it was bright. For me, following the loud festivity of school and all the activities leading up to winter break, something about the absence, the openness in those fields, the dormancy, the frozen soil, the stopped machines after a busy harvest season brought my senses to a pause. I remember along the route there were specific houses where I would watch for what decorations they had in the windows or what festive lights were on the lampposts this year on the 3-block main street of the small town we drove through. But between the towns, I remember fondly simply following the phone lines from pole to pole with my eyes, the gentle swoop and consistency of them. I can still feel the rhythm of my head just slightly up and down as we would go, with the occasional quick bumps and change in the line, or my eyes moving to the lone squirrel down on the ground, or the deer that had made its way through the field, where in most times of the year I had barely noticed them at all. Their presence, though, was now prominent by a landscape of absence. It was as if the absence of the day and that season, the open fields, were like a companion, a physical reminder and connector to people and places. Following that line, just lead us on. An absence of activity, a seemingly absent-minded movement of my eyes caused a type of presence to notice things quiet and simple, to leave room for distraction of life scurrying along or poking up through those frozen fields. Every absence is an ancestor, writes the poet. Dormant doesn't mean dead, only sleeping. Winter is a form of absence, some say a kindness, white after white, for all the gutted fields before their softening in spring. Perhaps absent-mindedness might be a growing edge for some of us, and most certainly a growing edge in our culture. We live in a time of growing awareness and celebration, though, of neurodiversity, that long-time truth that we've always known, that our minds and our bodies work in different ways, that we each hold within us multitudes of types of wisdom, ways of knowing, ways of perceiving, learning, expressing what it means to be human, what it means to pay attention, what it means to be present. Some quick and agile, some slow and steady, some able to better focus with something moving in our hands to resemble the movement in our mind. Some thoughts firing quicker than we know how to hold them, bouncing around the mind, which for some is unhelpfully chaotic and for others is like a bright blaze of expansive possibility, like the stars that cast a wide reach up to the heavens. Professor and author Matthew Bevis recently wrote about distraction, what he described as the rewards of the tangential, the digressive, and the dreamy. He lifted up the work of many, including Darwin, who said one of humanity's most important faculties was attention, the way a cat watches a hole preparing to spring at it, but then added, wild animals sometimes become so absorbed when they engage that they may become easily approached by another. So Bevis adds the question, what kind of attention is the right kind? What kind of presence, what balance of focus and openness and the blending of it all. You likely know this yourself, how sometimes what seems like distraction, doing something else when you're supposed to be doing something else, so often those distractions are a necessary part of some process or whatever it is you're trying to do or to be. Maybe it's knitting or holding some fidget, or a favorite of my kids while visiting other churches during sabbatical, playing with pipe cleaners during the service. Because for some, having active hands can help the mind stay engaged. Some of you know that right at this moment, I'm sure. It's sometimes why we often have crayons or things to color in the service. Maybe you take a break sometimes from a blank screen where you're not sure what to write Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, or a blocked mind, and then you go out on a trail or you walk the dog or some active or creative practice to shake out the mind, the soul a bit from its stuckness, to shake the dust and let things settle in a new way. Unfortunately, there are no answers of what attention is correct in the back of the book, though it is our tradition's beliefs that there are answers scattered throughout every book and probably every or many distractions, like a song or a sunset, all these tricky things to define. And yet they are what give us depth and meaning in life. We know from our own living and our own individual souls and minds that we don't fit neatly into really any category, probably. That learning in different ways is not only between individuals, but within individuals. We likely don't learn the same way for every subject or skill or idea. We are, all of us, more complex than we tend to give ourselves space for, to know that we can learn in different ways. I learn about theology and spirituality very different than I learn about plumbing or construction, and that's okay. Bevis also lifted up Thoreau, Derek's friend Henry, well known for his deep noticing and documenting of the natural world, even though Derek does prefer Nate or Nathaniel Hawthorne. That's the quiet secret there, and Derek's bias towards Hawthorne. But Thoreau would map Walden Pond on his own. He'd go deep into a focus, sometimes perhaps too much. But even Thoreau said, the more you look, the less you will observe. He said, I have the habit of attention to such excess that my senses get no rest. What I need is not to look at all, but a sauntering of the eye. I wonder sometimes in our efforts to focus, even the spiritual teachings and practices of being present, being in the moment, when they too can become a bit much, even suppressive, to the ability to wander and wonder and dream, to give our senses rest from a narrow focus that can limit creativity. There can be a freedom in finding enough creative space for the mind or the soul to wander a bit, to be present to a wide open field of seemingly nothing, making space for distraction. One of the earliest writings in Zen Buddhism is a poem about the Great Way attributed to Seng San. It contains beautiful invitations to imagine, to practice a type of absence, a balance of being present by detachment. The Buddhist principle of non-attachment, or letting go of absolutes, or a highly controlled or curated life, not being so fixed on things having to be a certain way, a reminder, like in many traditions, of impermanence and change. Some of the phrases from this lovely long poem are these: when love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, though, and heaven and earth are infinitely set apart. He writes in these juxtapositions, similar to the Tao Te Ching, where he says, when you try to stop activity by passivity, your very efforts fill you with activity. As long as you remain in one or extreme or the other, you won't know oneness. He said, the more you talk and think about it, the further away from wonder and truth you are. Stop talking and thinking. There is nothing you will not be able to know then. Stop talking and thinking, he writes, says the person talking about it. It's a bit hard for us as religious liberals from a tradition of many, many words and many ideas, exhaustive in many ways, explanations of truth and ideas. That can be a lovely practice, of course, too, but there's a balance to it, a wisdom to a bit more openness, spaciousness in our lives and actions, our letting go, not needing to fill in all the gaps, to figure every little thing out, to let the mystery settle. To not need it wrapped up neat and tidy with a bow of wisdom. Whatever this freedom is, I would like a little of it, Bevis writes, more than a little. He said, I'm writing this sentence as a distraction from a book about poetry that I'm meant to be writing, but also with a hunch that that book may get written via the distraction, that something in the book is getting worked out or worked through by my not attending to it. Where in your life are you needing not answers but space? To get off the track, to be distracted a bit. Openness to the distractions maybe that might give you life. Where in your life do you need an empty field that is open enough to be able to follow your wandering heart along those lines, swooping through the air every once in a while so that you might notice that perched bird or that scurrying squirrel when you otherwise would have gone right past? So that when you feel the Spirit, every time you feel the Spirit, you might pause or pray or notice or breathe to the presence that can only come from an absent mind. The hymn is Mysterious Presence. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. invite you, as you're comfortable, place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude. And if you're willing and able, to move your arm, your hand, as if it's swooping the lines. And pause, and pause, and pause. May that cadence and rhythm lead you on. Amen.